W first from Macy. Oh, thank you for the big message. She did it fast. God damn. Yo, W second from Whale. Did I turn on the lobby music? What the heck? ¿Qué más? Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be playing terrible today, guys, because my mouse is acting up. I tried different things, different settings, putting in a different USB port and everything, and I think it's still acting up. So I'm not too happy about that. What's good, Grace? Yeah, hello?
Hi.
So you're gonna do quests?
Yeah.
I don't mind doing quests. $115, a Black Ops Zombies.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? Is that it? Oh, that's from the Battle Pass?
Oh yeah.
What the heck? I just got that from Emma.
Yeah. Yo. Sorry, I was skimming through the shop.
Oh, are you good? I got you ready up. Thank you for the pizza wheel. Reach up to you. Yo, thank you for that place. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
I keep saying I have rewards to claim and it bothers me because I can't claim them. So that noti is just stuck there. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. We're doing okay. I'm just sick. Some low energy. I haven't had coffee in 2 days, which hasn't
In 2 days? Damn.
and it shows.
Wait, really? You haven't actually? You haven't had
Yeah, 'cause
coffee?
it's supposed to make it worse.
Oh. What? What's good, Ganja?
I'm so dead in the energy.
Oh, my game froze. That's not good. Off to a terrible start. Terrible. I can't record? What? An error. Oops. But he's saying I am recording. What the heck? Yeah, I am recording. The frick?
Technical difficulties.
Far around. Where you going? Oh, I see.
Just froze. Oh, there it goes.
I feel like it's also because of the new season.
Yeah, it always does this in the new season.
It's terrible. It's terrible. You're coughing well? Oh, dang, you sick too, man? I've been hearing a lot of people are sick.
Gotta land at that thing, and there's people fighting on it.
Well, you got a contract, Missy?
I didn't do that.
Oh, why is my shit so laggy, bro? Performance mode too.
Oh, there's something for you.
Oh, you don't want that?
No.
Oh, I only have 1 minute. Oh, maybe the game will fix itself throughout time. Maybe, hopefully, question mark. Oh, I did 200 damage? No way. I just dual wiped. I thought I was gonna die. Yeah.
I also somebody out here.
The dynamites do so much damage. Oh my goodness.
I'm so good at it.
I thought I was there. It's like my shit. Ah, dude, it feels. I hate it. Oh my god, it's driving me insane. Like inside, It's like my mouse just like gets jammed. Like it's just he just stops. It's like it's not lag. It's like getting jammed. Like my fucking PC's dying or something. Damn, they got gold twin hammers here. Splash. Oh, the contract's close.
So far, so good.
I'll follow you for your quest.
The next one said it's over here.
I might as well track mine.
Doing the weekly ones. The daily ones always finish themselves.
What was this?
There's gauntlets here.
You said the daily ones? Oh.
The daily ones, they finish themselves, so I just track the weeklies.
Oh, these gloves are pretty good, babe. You could go like backwards with them. It's like natural fist, but like a lot better. For some reason.
Supposed to be around here. It says power on the holotape. Oh, what the? It's here. Oh, you want to get it too? It was over here. So you don't have to do it again.
Password, sanctuary. Access granted.
Thank you.
Welcome to the 7 secure audio server.
Mm-hmm.
Now decrypting. Status reports
Arrows.
of all 7 members.
And shield bubble.
I think he took out snipers because I haven't seen snipers.
The only one is jam track player. Use jam track player.
Okay. Oh. Oh, I forgot there was a higher here. Oh, but if you left click and go backwards, like S key, I guess, it will send you backwards.
Oh, that's cool. Does it send you sideways?
Yeah, sideways too. It's omnidirectional.
That is much better.
With the nitro fist, you have to look that direction.
Oh, is she a scout or is she? What are you? Oh, she's a no. Yes, convert specialist. The frick does that mean? Look at the glass.
My mouse thing. I told you about it.
Mm. Hey!
Hey! You're the one that has quiz. Oh, thank you. They give you an infinite stamina like slap and extra speed, kind of like the Zeus medallion, I guess.
Okay, start another one.
XP can be purchased once per day. You could buy XP. What?
You can upgrade your weapons too.
Really? Ah. Out of stock. Can I make it mythic? Okay, that'd be crazy. Second, I gotta do something on OBS. Gotta close the Sammy breach thingy. I forgot about that. Okay. ¿Dónde vamos?
Do we still have gas stations? Where are gas?
Yeah. Damn, there's nowhere in the map. Unless it only shows the driver. Yeah, probably only show the driver. Yeah, I don't see him.
What was that? There's a
Oh,
cube.
shiny.
There's Chug.
They gotta collect 70 cubes. What?
Oh, they're shooting.
It's 2v2v1 maybe? Yeah, I think so.
Oh!
Look what you did. Wait, they took out the zipline thing, huh? What?
Oh, they probably switched it with the glove.
That did not last
There was
long.
somebody over. It was something over here. I mean, the shooting was over there.
Oh, I see a bunker. Yeah, there's loot right there. Yeah, one's right here. This really hurt. Bro, oh, my shit's so fucked up. This guy jumped? I think this guy jumped. Oh my god, dude.
I don't have any more gauntlets, so I guess there's a limit to them.
It's like when I'm turning, dude, like it stops me. It's like it gets jamming and I hate it. I'm gonna need to reset some shit. You didn't shot it?
Shoot, over there.
42, 21.
On the right.
He's almost knocked. One's knocked.
No, I was healing.
What? How are you still alive? Oh, they died to fall damage.
We got it.
Oh my god, I haven't won in a minute.
We got it.
Did I shock you by accident?
No.
Oh, because you were like, I was healing.
Oh no, I was telling you like I can't go over there because I need to heal.
Oh,
So like I can't push with you.
our first game we won. Let's go.
Let's go. That's the only one we're gonna get today.
Maybe
It felt pretty slow, to be honest. It's nice. That game wasn't as sweaty, so it makes me scared.
all the sweats like died fighting earlier or something.
Maybe.
Device manager. Actually, can I do something real quick?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to play one by yourself. I won't take too long. Okay. I need to like reset some USB stuff.
I'll just change the color of my car.
I wonder if I mess with the liftoff distance. Let me see. Because that would don't make sense when my character just stopped moving or stopped looking. So maybe he thinks I picked up my mouse when I didn't. Let's see, bump it up to 2 millimeters. Oh, it's not letting me. What the heck? Hey, what's good, Minya? How you doing, Minya? How you making out today? Up to dates. Oh. Long distance mode. Enhanced wireless performance. It's not letting me toggle anything. What the fuck? Pretty good, pretty good. You're good. Let's go. You see me today, Minya? It's not letting me click on anything. What the fuck? A little bit. Let's go. We have a great stream, and yeah, thank you for the daily pizza. 99%. Why is it stuck at 99%? Whoa. Get 2 millimeters. Let's see if that helps a little bit. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. No rush.
Oh wait. Enjoy your lurk, Minya. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just sick. Thank you, Royalty. I appreciate you.
Look, thank you, Royalty. Thank you so much. Of course. E3 with that third. Let's go. How you doing, E3? Much love, man. Hope you had a great stream. E3 Royalty last night.
Thank you, Minya. I think I'm slowly feeling better. Slowly but surely. My quest don't say nothing.
No?
No.
Mine says use the jam track player. You probably already did that one though.
Yeah. No, that's what mine says, and I don't know where that is.
Oh. You wanna go to mine?
Yeah, we'll go to yours.
I forgot about the reboot vans. Oh, no, you got a twin hammer. That you? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, next to you. But somebody's over here. They went inside the building.
Oh yeah, I see 2 footprints. Oh, lag. Self-res.
Well,
Oh, each side gets something different. Oh, they find someone else?
yeah.
Ooh, nice shots. Nice shots to me too. Whoa, I forgot. Damn, chill. Oh, I got splash.
Who is this? Oh, the bot? Oh, okay. I didn't see the bot.
I think so. Bro, this guy does so much damage.
Oh, no. I forgot that's what that is. The launch thing is still in the game.
It is?
Yeah. I just accidentally used it.
Oh my goodness. Leave me alone, you jerk. Oh fuck, we gotta go. It's a reboot van here too. Dang, they rushes immediately. Chis vatos. Babe. Low key, I might have fixed my mouse. At least because I got this like new glass pad, right? Maybe that's why it started acting up as soon as I got this glass pad.
Really?
Yeah, now that I think about it. How did I get this perfectly stuck here? Oh my god. No mames. I'm scared. I might die to fall damage. Yeah, so I increased the lift off distance from 1mm to 2mm to my mouse, and I think it's good now. I guess the game was the mouse. Don't look at it. It's atrocious.
How did this happen?
Oh, maybe this will work. Hold on. Yeah, high IQ
My God.
or mid IQ.
Wait, I didn't even do the jam track thing.
So maybe my mouse was thinking that I wasn't like, was assuming that I was lifting it already when I wasn't, which will make sense because I will come to a complete stop. Oh wait, what's happening? You need chug?
Yeah, but also I didn't know. I didn't get the jam track thing.
Oh, me neither. Where's it?
Oh no, you marked it.
I did. It doesn't. It doesn't. It shows it on my quest.
Wait, I want my bunkers.
You saw that, royalty? I got it stuck. Drive over that, please. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to go back and fight.
Fight. This isn't a game about fighting. This is about hiding and being a rat.
Fine.
Oh, we can go back. Oh, that's the contract too. Oh, do you want to try the mythics? It's, oh, you know what it is? It's like It's like Iron Man's blaster thingies. You're real comfortable up there, aren't you, buddy?
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
That went stupid real fast.
No. Is the contract still up?
Probably
Oh no, it's gone.
Thank you
Mhm.
for my stupidity.
No, it's okay. I've done stupider stuff. Like getting the reboot van stuck. Yeah, they're back. And of course they're about to post up high ground.
Even though I just got rebooted.
Yep. Look at this bitch ass.
How did I die? Damn.
Here. I'm gonna take some pressure off you.
How did every shot miss, bruh?
Got nothing better to do. Fucking pussies. GG's. Fucking hate these Fortnite players. Rats.
Missed every single.
You missed every single shot?
On the snipe, yeah. I was trying to.
Oh yeah, snipe. There was a nemesis. There was, I think, a nemesis I was trying to mark, but you don't like it.
I was trying. I picked up the nemesis and I was shooting with it, but then I was just like, maybe I could get a really good shot with a snipe, and I kept missing every single one. I also was out of cover, so that didn't help either.
Did you expose yourself whenever I said I'm gonna take pressure off of you? Because that's what I was hoping
No,
you'd do.
I was
hoping you'd hide.
started shooting. I was still healing, but once I finished healing, I saw them get out the car. So then I started shooting one of them, and I got hits on one of them. But then they hid behind the rock, and then the other one poked out and killed me.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I was hoping you wouldn't aggro. You wouldn't shoot them. If not, I would have stayed with you. So basically, I was hoping they would chase me and then you shoot them in the back. But then I had to rotate because I don't want to leave you by yourself, and then we just lose. When I could have just left. I should have just left. Where you want to go? What's good, freaking out? How you doing, man? Happy Sunday, bro. You streaming today? What up, Mr. Clips?
I was gonna go there, but people are landing there.
Yeah, no problem. Freaking out. I always try to pull you guys both up. Oh yeah, we do got this skyline. Damn, this combat rips. Damn, bro, you just got one shot at. Why you pushing me then? You ain't ready to fight? Behold, dark child. I got a present, honey. Look. Damn, why you fly all the way over there? I don't know if it's a bot or not. Is that the pickaxe? Nice.
What's that?
Just go res your teammate, man. What are you doing? Go res, bro. Wait, you're running straight into me. Well, about time you jump over. I think I low-key fixed the issue.
Oh, so you could carry now.
I mean, I'm kind of been carrying.
I mean, you're still. I know.
You see what I said? No.
We went upstairs. What the freak are these squids? I thought it was gonna give me shield and I just freaking went on the floor.
Wait, Ice King is ahead? What? I thought it was Foundation. What's good, Tez Ramsey? How you doing, man? ¿Dónde quieres ir? ¿Para dónde quieres ir?
I don't know. Don't tell me where to go on the map. We'll go to a gas station right there.
Don't you have quests? You're done with quests?
the quest don't tell me where to go. Like, where am I
Oh, it's
supposed
like
to use the
glitching.
jam track player, and how do I
Damn,
find
bro.
all the chaos cubes?
Also, you just have to find all the chaos cubes. Cubes. That's it. Say cubes.
Yeah, and use a jam track player. I guess I don't know. Does a
The freak is that? It's like a tower.
I'm dead.
No, don't die.
No, I'm dead. They got the fucking twin shotguns.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're dead. I'm so far too.
There's the car. There's the fucking car.
Who's looking
I
for
was
the
looking for that
car?
car. Whoever gets shotgun first wins.
Yep. That's what I hate reload sometimes. Like the first game, I would never get a shotgun for like the first 10 minutes.
They got the slurp tank too. Oh, they took the car. They left.
You know what skin it was?
It was a Mothman skin, and I don't know what the other skin was.
You better get revenge. Oh, they die. What the heck? What am I stuck on? Dale. Stay away. It's probably not a good spot to rest, but oh well. Yeah, I'm already being shocked on. Oh, you little bitch. Getting roof campers.
Did a car just turn on behind you?
Yeah.
Also, drivable one.
W comms.
Chill pipe on the right.
W comms.
They're on the hill.
They're on the hill.
I thought I saw movement on the hill.
Well, there is a sniper, but it's kind of weird one. Excuse you?
Oh wait, I got 60 coins. Maybe I can buy a gun. I can, but it's pistol.
I guess I'll upgrade the... It restarts per game, right?
Yeah, I think so.
like the currency.
Goodbye.
Hmm? When did you get a full shield?
I bought flat.
Oh, I see.
There's a car here that's
Mhm.
good. Zero fuel.
That's why. So it's all the same thing. Requires 20 rivalry wins. I have 12. No, I guess it does kind of jump from game to game.
Oh, somebody died here.
Do you wanna race one hammer? Oh, it's green right here. Green twin hammers. Gunshots this way. This way.
The car.
I'm just looking. Stop yelling at me! Oh my god! Oh, car right here. I feel like there's been less ammo. We also haven't gotten any kills. Where's that countdown? Oh, the rivalry. Rivalry. Oh, it's a bunch of loot right there. Oh my god, I'm already dead. Get out. Jeez, you fucking roof campers. Damn, I missed a fucking shot. Fucking so good at the game, but fucking sitting on the fucking roof. God damn. Fucking hate my lobbies. Yeah, make him push us. Alright, just keep going, just keep going. Yeah, wasn't there heals up here? Yeah, let me get some real quick. Fucker hit me one time, I'm already like lost almost all my shield. Damn. Mama's way. What's good, Jummy? How you doing, man?
I forgot I had a shield pot.
You do? Oh yeah, you do. Somebody rifted. All right, I have to go. We're gonna have to go that way.
What? I press E.
That's why I put it. I put that on scroll now. Scroll down. Now look, but they won't keep pushing us. Nah, cause they're little bitches.
They went to go find their next hiding spot.
Yeah.
Their next high ground.
Where's that? Oh, that's a glove.
Somebody shot at us, I think.
Yeah, I saw gunfire up ahead too. You want that?
No, you have it. course, there's fighting on the top of the mountain.
At the tippy top.
Of course, they're shooting down at us.
Oh god,
Oh, look,
bro.
another drivable van.
Where?
Back here.
Oh. What the fuck?
Has 100 fuel.
Did I gotta come down here?
Nope, they just want to stay up there. Yep. Still shooting. Hi, Corey. Hope you're doing well.
Let's go for the hill. Oh, he got beamed. Oh, dang, he had a legendary too. Oh, he's got the exotic. But you can destroy that. My game froze. My game fucking froze, bro. I didn't have not one freeze. And you knocked their teammate?
No.
Oh,
I thought you did.
I didn't do shit.
When I went up there, they were already knocked.
My game didn't freeze that whole time till that. That's fucking crazy, bro.
Fine. It just lags a little bit sometimes. Like that last fight, it lagged at the very end.
Oh
It did, like, a little
shit.
skip.
Yeah, my completely froze. It froze mid dash from the gloves. It's atrocious. Oops. Atrocious. Latte Landon. Is it latte or late?
Latte. going to these because these usually have stuff and nobody really lands at them. There's a cube here too.
Wait, is that like for both of us? Oh no, it's not. Then why'd you get it?
I did get it.
Not right off the bat. You almost look like you were giving it to me.
That's what it is. You have to literally play a jam track.
Oh. It's a rivalry here. Rivalry.
Oh shit.
Ah, you killed me. What have you done to me?
And then I did the same thing.
Did you just jump down?
I thought
No,
I
you
pressed
did. Oh, what, the zip line?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I was feeling good about that game too, and nothing happened.
I'm still so trash at this game.
You should have used your ult. You should have been like, bye bye for now. You know what? I can't remember last time I seen you play Scarlet.
When Star gave me the skin.
Hmm. Who's not letting me start the recording? ¿Qué es esto? Yeah, my vertical thing is fucked too. Just not letting me. It's probably because I accidentally unplugged the hard drive earlier.
How'd you do that?
Maybe I need to like fuck. I need to back out. You keep play one real quick. I need to.
I'm gonna go use restroom.
Okay. Everything's fucking up. I need to restart stream. Specified error. I'm gonna restart stream. Yo, Dark with the raid. Let's go. That was a stream, brother. I'm gonna restart streaming, guys. Whoever's here, please refresh. It's gonna be quick.